Good day to all of you. My name is Jose Daniel Megarejo, and I'm going to tell you the story of the most amazing place on this earth, or should I call it Middle Earth? Wait, what do you mean I'm not talking about Middle Earth? Yes, I know this is a cultural video. I have seen the document shot many times and I know everything you need to know about this magical land. Middle Earth is not real. Nonsense! Then what other place would have such a wonderful landscape? New Zealand! Okay, let me read this a little bit. A fruitful reading later? Well, New Zealand doesn't seem any less magical. Are you sure this one is real though? Marvelous! Then let's go for it! New Zealand is an island country located in the southwestern Pacific, relatively close to Oceania. This place became inhabited for the first time by Polynesians back in the 13th century. That means it remained human-free up until about this point right here. Next, we have the most important symbols for New Zealand. First, we have the coat of arms, a symbol that represents the union between the Maori and the European descendants. We also have the beehive, the executive wing of the New Zealander Parliament. However, the most known symbol from New Zealand is this. Behold! Wait, what? Not that! That's a fruit! I mean the bird! Okay, let's try again. Behold! Yes, that's more like it. The kiwi is a flightless bird native from New Zealand. Also, its name is a Maori term meaning hidden bird. The relationship between the bird and New Zealand is so strong that their citizens are usually identified as Kiwis. The association began in the 19th century when it was depicted in New Zealand's regimental badges during World War I. These soldiers were known as Kiwis, but the term spread to identify all the people from New Zealand later on. Now, a fun fact. The kiwi can lay an egg so massive in relation to its body that it counts as a fifth of the weight of your average female kiwi. It's actually bigger than a chicken's egg. How amazing is that? New Zealand has also offered great challenge to the entertainment. Names as big as Peter Jackson, Russell Crowe, and Ella Maria Lano Yellick O'Connor, also known as Lord. She is a 21-year-old New Zealander singer who has become quite famous over the last few years. Another important aspect about New Zealand's culture are their. As you've heard before, New Zealand's people are often called Kiwi or even New Zealanders. However, there are two more ways to be called, Maori and Pakeha. Maori is the indigenous way to refer to the descendants of the original inhabitants. Pakeha, on the other side, means foreigner, but it is mostly used to refer to European descendant natives. Even though it may be confused as an offensive name, Pakeha is rather neutral and conveys no offense at all. Even though there are many names, it is important to remark that most of the people from New Zealand prefer to be referred as simply New Zealanders. Simple and elegant, don't you think? This is, by the way, hongi, a traditional Maori greeting which consists in pressing one's nose and forehead against the other. This is as formal as a handshake for Western cultures. Now, New Zealand has an interesting culinary culture. In this case, there are three things to consider as a staple of New Zealand's cuisine. First, we have hangi. This is not really a dish, rather it is a cooking method which involves heated rocks in a pitch oven. The meat can be cooked alone or with traditional vegetables. It's indeed a really versatile and traditional technique. We also have rowena bread, which is a sort of bread made out of potato yeast. The name rowena means both bread made out of potato yeast and the process of fermenting the bread. And finally, we have deer. Fun fact, the deer is not a native species, rather it was introduced by Europeans when they came to New Zealand to provide hunting prey to locals. As with other introduced species around the world, they became a plague, but getting rid of them became particularly annoying. However, all of this has changed and the deer has not only been controlled, but it has also become a very important product for New Zealand cuisine. Okay, I shouldn't have said all that with an empty stomach. Anyways, let's keep going to sports. New Zealand's sports scene is quite popular. In this case, there are three important sports. First, we have cricket, then basketball, and the final one is rugby. Its most known team is the New Zealand National Rugby Union team, but they are usually called All Blacks due to the uniform colors. Fun fact, New Zealand rugby teams, especially All Blacks, are famous for performing haka, a traditional Maori war cry dance involving stomping, slapping hands, and contorting of tongues and eyes at the beginning of their games as a form of intimidation against their opponents. As marvelous as it may be nowadays, New Zealand has also seen tougher times. Several decades ago, New Zealand suffered a serious economic crisis. However, in 1984, a new First Minister named David Lange was elected and he put to Sir Roger Douglas in charge of fixing it as the new Minister of Finance. His answers to this crisis were a series of reforms that we simply know as Rogernomics. The meat of these reforms are just too extensive to discuss here, but its most prominent effects are evident and easy to count. He heavily promoted the regional agriculture and cattle ranching, including deer farming. He made public services incredibly efficient by almost literally demolishing the government's unnecessary bureaucracy and definitely annihilating all kinds of controls, protections and laws responsible for making it really hard to grow and thrive economically in the country. Nowadays, New Zealand and its inhabitants enjoy the reaped fruits of Sir Roger Douglas's labor. This amazing country enjoys several titles that put it at the top of lists such as Best Quality of Life on Earth, one of the freest economies in the world, Least Corrupt Countries, one of the best places to make businesses, Top Tier Education and Public Services, and the future only seems brighter ahead for this amazing nation. Now, for the last part, I think it's due to show my face. I want to thank you for reaching this part of the video. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I did making it, because my intention with this is to serve as an appetizer, to pique your curiosity upon a country which has far too much to offer in every way imaginable. So, thank you for watching and see you around soon.